Hey folks, welcome back to my ongoing series on the Memoir 44 game. It's really a little bit more than a game now that we've gone through so much, but we do have some more to go through, and today I'd like to talk about one of the newer expansions that has come out for Memoir 44, and that is the equipment pack. If you look at that picture right there, that is the equivalent of everything that you're going to get in this game as far as plastic miniatures are concerned. So, of course, we'll take and go through each of what one of those things does. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and go through what you get in the equipment pack for Memoir 44. First of all, you get the 88s. The flak 88s that were used in World War II. It's a heavy anti-tank gun unit. It is ordered like artillery for all intents and purposes. It's ordered by the same tactic cards. It hits by the same dice rolls, and of course it can never take ground, but it can move one hex or battle. It can never move or battle. And then when you battle, you can target a unit 4 or fewer hexes away, battling with 2 dice. If the heavy anti-tank gun targets an enemy armor vehicle or unit, the stars that are rolled also score a hit. So you get to roll 2 dice with 2 possibilities to hit on each one on each die. They always have to have line of sight to the unit they're shooting at as well, unlike other artillery units. Then there are also the big guns, the long toms. So they also use the big gun rule that I have talked about in other reviews, so I'm not going to belabor the point here, but simply whenever you have scored a hit on a unit, you can then place one of these target markers on that unit, and then you get bonuses to hit later on, extra dice and that type of thing. Specifically, the M7 Priest is the model that's being used here, and whenever a scenario is indicated in the briefing notes to use a mobile artillery unit, 2 of these figures would be placed on that for that artillery spot. They are able to combat over the same range with the same firepower as regular artillery, but mobile artillery can move 1 hex and battle, or move 2 hexes and not battle. The Screaming Mimes, or the Nebelwerfers. The Screaming Mimes here have been introduced. They are another kind of artillery unit, and they would be represented by 2 models. They can move or battle, just like regular artillery. They have a range of effectiveness, the same as a regular artillery, but the Nebelwerfers now have the ability to fire either an incendiary round or smoke grenades, or smoke shells rather. And so incendiary shells, when you fire at somebody that has the ability to ignore the first flag, if it's an incendiary shell, they cannot ignore that first flag. Flags cannot be ignored if incendiary shells are being fired at a unit. If a unit is hit with smoke shells, then a smoke screen marker, actually markers, are placed on up to 3 continuously or contiguously adjacent hexes within firing range. So basically you can set up a wall of smoke in front of a bunch of units that are tearing your troops apart, so that your troops have the chance to then retreat or mount a close assault, whatever you would like to do. Nebelwerfers, however, never benefit from terrain protection, and they ignore line of sight and terrain protection. Okay, next we have a model that has heretofore been symbolized with just a marker of a bunch of landing crafts here. So now this model is to replace these markers, and basically this model is used to represent any kind of landing craft that would have been used on an amphibious assault of any kind. So it can carry armor, artillery, troops, whatever the scenario specifically says, or whatever the field commander says that he needs them to carry. Basically, movement for landing craft, they're set up on the edge of the board on any scenario of an amphibious landing. So they can move up to 2 hexes on ocean and shore hexes. Furthermore, when they drop off their troop, whatever they're carrying, whether it's armor or artillery or troops, regular infantry, they are removed from the board. They also have no direct battling capability, so units that are being carried cannot battle out of them, and if the unit that is in them is eliminated before landing, then the landing craft is removed from the board, and of course the one model is used from the unit that was destroyed. That unit is used as a medal, but the landing craft does not award another medal. Line of sight is also blocked by landing craft. Hobart's funnies, and this was an ingenious set of enhancements for the Churchill tank that the British troops came up with, and these are represented by different pieces that can actually come off and on. So basically, what do these things do? Well, first of all, you have an assault bridge, and basically this thing can be dropped off on a river hex so that it now acts like a normal bridge. So what would happen is that the tank unit would move on to that river hex, leave this guy behind as they move on, and now infantry can use that to cross that river at that point. So that's what the assault bridge does for you. You have the bobbin, which is this little guy right here. The bobbin ignores movement restrictions on a beach, and then it also ignores them on marsh hexes and hexes containing wire. So basically, when a tank is using a bobbin, when the Churchill tank is using the bobbin expansion or extension, it can treat that terrain as countryside hex for movement and battling. And then, of course, after this guy plows through it, wire is removed when you move on to or through that hex. Then you have the fascine, which is this guy right here. Basically, this can ignore movement restrictions for all fords and trenches, treating them like countryside hexes for movement and battle. All right, so that's the fascine. Then you also have the mine digger. The mine digger, of course, would has to stop upon entering the minefield, but that minefield is removed without detonating. So this is a little device that was used to weed out those minefields and get rid of them without loss of life. And then the Petard mortar. When the Petard mortar battles, it battles at 1 die plus 1 die in close combat against a unit in a bunker. If you roll a star against that unit in the bunker is destroyed and removed from the hex. So it gives a way for your forces to get rid of those protective elements of the battlefield that the enemy is using. The Elephant Panzerjäger is also included as a tank destroyer. When indicated by a scenario's briefing notes, you replace a single tank figure in an armor unit with one of these guys, and during the game, when taking hits, remove all other tank figures in this unit first, keeping your tank destroyer for last. So this is the last guy that can die. A tank destroyer is basically treated just like regular armor, except there are a few exceptions. A tank destroyer unit can move up to 2 hexes in battle, and then an ordered tank destroyer unit can battle an enemy target unit 4 or fewer hexes away, battling with 2 dice. So you can see that represented here, where it rolls 2-2-2-2 instead of 3-3-3 like a regular ordered armor unit would be able to battle. When a tank destroyer targets another armor or vehicle unit, stars are also rolled to score a hit, kind of like the Flak 88s that we went over just a little bit ago. And then a tank destroyer on a successful close assault can take ground, but it cannot overrun. All right, so there are some restrictions to the armor unit, but it does give a better chance at hitting other armor or vehicle units, which is the whole point of having it as part of your army. Another model that comes in this equipment pack is the half-track, the SDKFC 250. It can be hit if targeted by rolling either an armor symbol or a grenade. symbol. The interesting thing about these guys is that when you knock one out, it doesn't automatically award a medal. You have to knock 3 of these guys out. Now, a half-track unit will consist of 1 to 3 models, depending on what the scenario tells you. It will be indicated by a little yellow number in kind of like this right here where the question mark is. That's where it'll tell you how many half-tracks will go in that unit. Now, the cool thing about half-tracks is that it has this supply or a resupply ability. And basically when it's adjacent to a unit that has been weakened by fire, it can resupply that unit. Basically, you can add units back to that for every model from the half-track unit that you take away. So that's a really cool opportunity that you have now to resupply your units. It's kind of like having the medics and mechanics card at your disposal whenever you need it. The only thing is that these can be taken away. You also get more Tiger tanks. Now, Tiger tanks were introduced back in the Tigers in the Snow expansion. So I think you got like 3 or 4 Tiger tanks in that expansion. You get more in this expansion as well. I haven't gone over this in a review yet, so I'll go ahead and explain it now. Basically, he moves and fires as normal. It only has 1 figure though, and you'll understand why in just a few moments. It moves 0 to 3. Enemy re-rolls all battle dice that score a hit. So basically you would have to roll to see if you hit the thing, and then if you hit it, you have to roll again. And if you hit it that second time with a grenade, then it is dead. All other re-rolls are ignored. So you basically have to hit this puppy twice. Dodge WC-63, I believe it's called a deuce and a half. The supply trucks are also introduced in the equipment pack. But you can target an equipment truck as normal, and hits are scored by rolling an infantry symbol or a grenade symbol against the supply truck. And when they are awarded, much like the half-tracks, they will have either 1 to 3 figures determined by what the scenario rules say. So again, you have to kill 3 of these guys in order to equal 1 medal. It also has the resupply function that the half-tracks had. It does not battle though, unlike the half-track. The half-track gave you 2 dice at 2 hexes away. The supply truck does not do that. It is basically treated as infantry other than that though. It can always move up to 2. But it cannot battle, but it does have the resupply ability. So instead of firing during that battle phase, you would simply resupply units. Patrol cars are also added into the game here, long-range patrol cars. They are basically treated as infantry for all purposes, except that they can move 0 to 4 and still battle. So they can move up to 4 spaces and still battle at 3, 2, 1 dice away. On successful close assault, they can take ground, but they cannot overrun, just like, an infantry unit. It has that Tiger tank, except the Tiger tank, of course, is much more powerful on rolling dice and that type of thing. So it does have the ability of that you have to score 2 hits on this guy in order to score a hit, and then there are also 1 to 3 models in that unit. So it's actually a pretty cool unit. Not as powerful as the Tiger tank, of course, but still cool nonetheless. Also, the Kubelwagen is introduced into the game with the equipment pack. Command card has a really cool ability in that whatever section of the field it is in, whenever you play a command card for that section, you get to order 1 additional unit than the card actually says. Additionally, when a command card is ordered by a Recon 1, the player may draw 1 command card from the discard pile at the end of his turn, instead of drawing 2 from the draw pile and then choosing which one he has. Now, it also has the same ruling as the Tiger tank and the supply trucks, in that you basically have to hit it twice with that second roll having a grenade symbol rolled for it to be eliminated. And then, of course, it will award you a medal that way. It moves 0 to 3 spaces, but it does not battle. So you basically have to run him around the board. Okay, the M2 mortar is a enhancement for an infantry unit that you can have added to the game now. It can move 1 to 2 hexes or battle. So it cannot move and battle. It can do one or the other. And then when it battles, it can basically shoot just like a regular infantry unit does, 3 hexes away at 3 dice, 2 dice, and 1 die. But the cool thing about it is that it doesn't have to have line of sight, and it also ignores any terrain battle protections of its target. So that's a cool little addition to infantry. In scenarios that provide late war scenarios, for example, late 1942 and that kind of thing, it can also hit targets that are 4 hexes away, rolling only 1 die. So basically, its range is effective to 3, 2, 1, 1, rather than just the 3, 2, 1 additionally. And then it also has, of course, still the no terrain battle protections. All of those are ignored, and then it also doesn't have to have line of sight either. Machine guns, whenever it's moving with an infantry unit, it can move 1 or 2 or battle. And when it does battle, it shoots normally 3, 2, and 1. However, it also hits infantry on stars rolled as well. So, but that's when it does not move, and that's either early war or late war. Both of them are the same. It provides that extra ability to hit infantry unit. Okay, some scenarios, briefing notes will indicate that you need to use a single sniper figure, and it's ordered just like a regular infantry unit, but it can move like a special forces unit where it can move 1 or 2 and still battle. It battles when he moves onto terrain types, woods, towns, etc. So he ignores that terrain battle restriction. Snipers are only hit on grenades and star exceptions, and then snipers do not count as a victory medal. But as you can see, it has a very long range. It's only firing 1 dice away, but it can pick you off, especially as it can displace. It can move to and battle, and then retreat up to 3 hexes. So he can be a difficult guy to catch. It is a hindrance to you to leave him alone, because he will continue picking you off, but he doesn't provide any medal for eliminating him. So you got to kind of weigh the differences there. Finnish ski troops from Finland have been added. They can move 3 hexes and battle, and they roll 3 dice in close assault, 2 and so 2 hexes away. As here, you can roll 3 dice close assault and 2 dice 1 hex away. So there are only 3 figures, however, in these units. They can move onto any terrain and still battle, but still have to follow terrain movement restrictions. So if it says, for example, in a forest, it says that you have to stop and then you cannot battle, a Finnish ski troop unit would be able to, they would still have to stop, but then they could battle. French infantry. Any French infantry unit that successfully eliminates an enemy unit or forces it to retreat following a close assault can either take ground and not battle, or stay in the hex where they are and battle another adjacent enemy unit. This second close assault is made with only 1 die though, but it does ignore terrain battle die restrictions. It's kind of like a modified armor overrun rule, and more differentiation between the different armies. I know some of the people who've been watching these have been talking about how that's one of the gripes they have, where all of the armies kind of seem the same. Well, you know what? Not so much anymore, because there is a lot of differentiation between a lot of these different troops and units. So, smiley face, I don't want to hear it. The Italian armies do have a model representation here, and that is the artillery, Italian artillery. There is also, I believe, what is a new rule here. I don't recall reading this rule in any of the other expansions. I could be wrong, of course. But the Italian High Command starts with 6 command cards always, but it loses a command card for each unit that is eliminated against it. So, but it never goes below 3. So you'll always have at least 3 command cards, no matter how bad you're doing. But you start with 6, which is a very cool thing. Motorized divisions, all of their ground forces can retreat 1 to 3 hexes as they desire. And then the artillery here always have artillery bravery, which means that they can always ignore 1 flag rolled against them, no matter if the terrain around them gives them one or not. And then finally, a neat little addition to World War II combat is actually mounted cavalry. And of course, this represents the Polish cavalry, and the scenario will indicate when you use them. You will, whenever it has a unit there, you will use 4 models, and it is ordered just like an infantry unit, but it can move 0 to 3 and still battle. And then it fires at 2 dice and 1 dice 2 hexes away. So on successful close assault, it can take ground and battle again like an armor overrun combat. So this is basically like an infantry unit that can perform armor overrun moves. All right, folks, so that is the Memoir 44 equipment pack expansion. If you already have been going through the process of adding to your collection, I really think that this would be a valuable addition to that collection. It's not necessary, of course, but it does add a lot of wow factor, I guess you could say, to the game. And it also adds more differentiation to those troops. Haters. But I'm just going to give it 1.5 thumbs up because I think it's a luxury more than it is a necessity to enjoy the game more. But take that for what it's worth. I think it would be a great addition. I just don't think it's absolutely necessary. The extra scenarios that come in it, that's always a bonus. You get more replayability that way. So that's Memoir 44, the equipment pack. See you on the flip side, folks.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.